What was the weirdest rumor you've ever heard about yourself? Somebody who I went to elementary school with told me that they thought I was so tall as a kid because they thought my mom had died when I was a young age. And somehow I turned the grief into size. My mom is still alive and well. For your information. My principal's wife started a rumor when I was around 10 that I was hanging out with a local journalist's daughter trying to figure out who killed JonBenet Ramsey using a Ouija board. My mom confronted me and quickly dropped it when she realized I had never heard of JonBenet Ramsey and didn't know what a Ouija board was. My mom was talking to a coworker. They mentioned another coworker and he said that she always feels awkward around you, my mother, because she slept with your son. Insert my name here. Naturally. She felt a little weird finding that out. One day we were hanging out. She brought it up to me and so I asked who it was. Turns out, I didn't recognize the name. I looked her up and I've never even seen her. So I have someone lying about having slept with me and my mom has heard it. The girl that used to cut my hair at her apartment went around telling people she gave me a BJ every time she cut my hair. For the record, she never even offered once, so I don't know what she was trying to accomplish. Edit to clarify. This was years ago. And a BJ from her was the last thing I wanted. And there was no confusion between blow dry BJ. She phrased it as I suck his big dick every time he comes over. That I was pregnant and my parents had disowned me. I hadn't even had sex yet. I moved away for university and talked to my mom weekly if not more. I guess my great aunt needed some gossip fodder and my name popped up. She didn't realize she was talking to my friend's mom. I have been disconnected from most of my relatives. Everyone thinks I am busy and making a lot of money. Me, laughing so hard. Looking at my bank balance. When I was 12, the neighborhood Avon lady came by to drop off my mom's order one day. Avon lady told her that she had heard I had slept with all of my guy friends, including her son. She also refused to tell my mom who she had heard this rumor from. I lost my virginity at 20 lol. I was working as a welder for a prominent artist in Nick. After a long day of welding, I was covered in soot and had caught on fire a few times that day. So was looking very raggedy. I ran into an old high school friend who I hadn't seen in years. This is pre-internet. So no Facebook. etc. We talked a bit. Discussed the upcoming 10-year reunion. Said our goodbyes and moved on. I did not attend the reunion. But about 5 years later I ran into another old friend who was amazed I was able to climb out of the gutter and get my life together. As it happens, my friend went to the reunion and reported I was homeless and destitute. Covered in filth and living on the street. I was just at a conference and went to bed after dinner one night. When I got up in the morning, everyone had heard I was the ringleader of a binge drinking run at the pub. Followed by partying until 6 AM. Only I hadn't. That I had gotten married and had 4 kids and a 5th on the way. This was being circulated by a guy I hadn't seen in several years. I've never been married or pregnant. Unbeknownst to me, something was going around in high school about me dying from cancer. Became a big thing and the principal eventually called my parents about it. Since the school needed to know if they had a sick student or something. Obviously they didn't know what he was talking about because I wasn't sick. And eventually had to have a meeting in the principal's office about it later that day. I walk in after being called down and they ask me why I'm pretending to be sick. I was floored at first because this was the first time I was hearing about this rumor. Had to convince them that I didn't know what they were talking about. Were you in school during this period? Why were you out so long for this to manifest? Yep. Was in school. I remember thinking about it after the fact, and there were some people who were overly nice to me and asking how I was a couple days prior, but nobody overtly said or asked about anything. I asked my closer friends about it and they said they had heard about it that day and weren't sure how to approach it yet. One said that he figured I would have brought it up to him if I wanted to talk about it. Which was fair for me. My parents went bankrupt, so I had to move from an expensive private school to public school. This included completely changing neighborhoods. And my parents realizing that the private school system just wasn't for me. Public schools were considered to be a status of poor families in my old school. Few years later, MySpace became a thing. And I got to reconnect with a lot of classmates from that school. I had numerous messages telling me that everyone thought I got expelled for beating up a kid. Edit. For context. I did have some friends in that previous school, but I was picked on a lot by certain other kids. I never resolved issues through violence, though. So I really don't know how this rumor could even start. I wasn't very popular in school. Then one day, for some strange reason, a rumor started spreading that I had a huge ducking big dick. Like the size of your forearm and sheet. I was surprised as anybody else to hear it. I'm not huge. Not tiny. Just average. But whispers started spreading. After that, girls wouldn't date me for a whole different reason. That I love eating as I do, but it was before I knew that I did. Wouldn't have minded that rumor about me in high school. That I am gay. This was started by a couple ladies who worked for me. They were aware that I am married to a woman and we have a son. They refused to accept that I was straight because I didn't flirt with them. Or any other woman. I found it hilarious then and it's still hilarious now. In middle school, a girl spread a rumor that I was gay because I was hanging out with my friend, who was a girl, at a party, so she told everyone she saw us kiss. This is a long shot. But I knew a girl who did exactly this. Her reasons? Because she had a crush on that girl she had accused. In hopes to oust the girl so she could truly see if she was gay or not and go out with her. I've seen a couple gay guys use this tactic as well. New manager at my old job told people I was a racist for not introducing myself to her in a timely manner. She's black. I'm white. She had a habit of calling a lot of people racist though. So no one took her seriously. In Ms. HS, I was the unpopular kid who somehow landed a semi-hot mid-social class girl. The rumors going around were that I was forcing her to be my girlfriend or I would heal her dog. Then that turned into me abusing her emotionally and physically because she always wore long sleeves. Then people thought she broke up with me, so people thought I would shoot up the school. The rumor persisted to the point where I was not allowed to do certain activities for a few days until I got pissed and called my parents. After that, the rumor was that I threatened the principal with violence, and that is why I got to hang out with the rest of the kids at lunch again. Then the school thought me and the girl were back together because we had managed to sneak around and have sex for the first time. She told her friend and that got around school. The next day everyone wanted her to show them her arms. They thought I beat her and raped her. We only broke up when she went to college and broke up with me the next year at Christmas. In my high school, a rumor spread quickly that I finger popped some popular girls as in the woods. I'd only ever spoke to this girl once, ironically, when I asked her if she wanted to go out. Her response: "I'd never date someone with your ugly name. My name isn't your typical Western Caucasian name." Anyway, as you can imagine, she was mortified and told me to tell everyone it wasn't true. I'm sure you can already guess what I didn't do. I moved away from my hometown during the summer between 7th and 8th grade. Only a couple friends even knew I was going to be moving. But I came back a year later to visit family and saw some friends, and they said they heard that I had killed my parents and then disappeared. Kinda crazy what kids would think up. That 13-year-old me got into a fight and won against 2 police officers. Edit. Yeah, it was pretty cool. No one messed with me for years. I was overweight as a kid. After sophomore year, I decided I wanted to lose weight and be more athletic. Spent the whole summer exercising and eating healthy. And I lost about 40 pounds. Came back to start junior year. And after a week I had heard that I was dying of AIDS and cancer. Edit. For all the people asking if I was, in fact, dying of cancer and AIDS. Yep. I died. I had a huge pen 15 in middle school. I didn't. The kid who looks a lot like me in my locker section did. I liked that rumor. In high school I heard a rumor that I had spent the Easter playing Pokemon and making out with this really socially awkward guy. He started the rumor. I am a guy. And still to this day I don't know what the duck was up with that, but at least username checks out. One of my friends convinced the majority of the 7th grade that I had a pet camel I kept in my shed. One of the younger kids told me I was mean for not bringing it to school. That I was an Iraqi spy. I'm Dominican. And my ancestry is very mixed. So I look very ethnically ambiguous. Most commonly, people think I'm South Asian or Middle Eastern or North African. I was in the Navy from 2000 to 2004. And I was stationed overseas in Japan from 2001 to 2004 at a comster. And so I was on shore command and often walked around on base and had an apartment off base. After 9/11, I'd get weird emails from people and strange looks. Come to find out, there was a rumor going around from my command and other shore commands and even some ships that there was an Iraqi woman at comster and that I was a spy and connected to Bin Laden somehow. Never mind that I had a top secret clearance and had to do numerous interviews with NSIS. Lol. It was weird. I was out of school for a week in the 3rd grade. And by the end of that week I was getting lots of voicemails on our home phone from classmates, friends, and parents of friends saying that they hope I get better. One call included my best friend sobbing about how much she loved me and that she's heard I'm not going to make it. I had head lice. My mom called the school and just said that I would be gone for medical reasons. 3rd graders come up with some pretty extreme conclusions, my dude. My friend once told me he thought I had a mom fetish. That a certain guy had cheated on his girlfriend with me. I had never spoken to that guy or his girlfriend in my life. So no idea where that came from. I broke up with a guy in June. Moved 900 miles away in August and came back to see the following May. My old manager told me that someone said I gotten married. I wasn't even gone a year and I was only 19 at the time. I guess mine weren't too weird. But they just pissed me off. In high school, the rumor that I was gay went around. That was false. In 8th grade, someone asked me what church I went to. They had never heard of an Episcopal church. So I was labeled a Satanist for a while. My GF and I work in the same place. 175 people. Men and women. Age ranging from 16 to 60. Of course I'm going to make friends. Someone took it upon themselves to tell people I plan on leaving my GF, which caused a pretty huge uproar. I was a supervisor for a while and had to tell an employee not to gossip about her peers. She started telling people I repeatedly hit her in the arm and the back for no reason. HR got involved. Couldn't find evidence for or against her claims, so we both got written up. And lastly, but not leastly, I was diagnosed with cancer a few years ago. Chemo. Bolt. Scans. The whole 9 yards. One of my employees at the time told people I was faking the whole thing just to get out of work. I was pretending to be sick for sympathy. Sorry Jared. You ducky. I was dying a little faster than you. I promise it wasn't for sympathy. My epilepsy medicine causes me to have red eyes and look tired, especially in mornings. Pair that with my early high school times back in the day and riding bus 420. Apparently I was the big drug dealer of my high school. Finally, my answer for this has changed. It used to be that I was the village bicycle because everyone's had a ride. Which was weird because I had not even kissed a guy yet. This was before Austin Powers came out. So he wasn't just quoting the movie. My new answer is that I'm apparently a very toxic person who uses people and when, not if, my boyfriend breaks up with me. I'm going to rush to steal my friend from his wife because he's my backup plan. I could go into the myriad reasons why her assessment is faulty. But it's probably pretty boring if you're not me. It was rumored that I didn't wear underwear. I earned the nickname Commando. I did wear underwear. I just didn't have a belt, so my pants kept pulling them down. That was about as popular as I'll ever be in person. Edit. This was in middle school. Like 15 years ago. I have a reputation anywhere I go. Work. Or my social circles as a gossip. I hate it because it absolutely is not true. I do not gossip. But that's all I ever hear. Oh. Ask him. He knows everything. Pisses me off. I am not a gossip. IDKY I have that reputation. It's false. And I don't like it. 2 years after I graduated high school, some kid informed me that I was a legend for swapping my faculty approved graduation speech out with a shockingly rebellious address instead. Except the speech I gave went through the approval process and went off without a hitch. The speech was pretty mundane. It just leaned more toward okay, we're finished here. Now time to get real shit done instead of the checklist of religious references and sugary nostalgia that were the usual standard. My maternal grandmother tried to convince everyone in the family that I couldn't be trusted around my younger sister and that I would abuse her if given a chance. I was 6. She started saying this shit to strangers at my school. Working as a cop. I was once accused of being racist and casing a Mexican man. This was not only false, but blatantly so, as I myself am Mexican. That I was special needs because I hung out with the special needs students a lot. What? Most people knew me and knew I wasn't special needs at all. But it kept up. Another one was that my twin brother and I were gay lovers because we're from California. This was when I first switched schools out of state, and that kept up until the teachers heard about it and made it a point to speak to the entire class about it. That I died. I went to a different high school. Went away for college. Was 21 and back for a break and had 10 people say, "Dude, I heard you died. Thanks for coming to the services." I learned that a ton of people wouldn't show up to my funeral. So that was a great feeling walking home to the same house I grew up in. Background: I manage a restaurant. And we have a regular who orders to go a lot. She tries to take advantage and get tons of free stuff every time. I have shut her down. She's complained. I threatened to ban her. But she apparently can't live without our food. She started going to another location. I temporarily transferred there. She showed up. Freaked out. Started going back to the original location. I transferred back. It pissed her off. Relevant story: after yet another incident in which I denied her tons of free stuff, she wrote a letter to corporate to try to get me in trouble. She claimed I had touched her. God. No. She disgusts me and told me she heard a rumor that I got fired from Chili's for raping one of my waitresses. It was a really weird rumor. Seeing as I have never worked for Chili's and have never been fired before, didn't matter. I was safe. Considering my current boss was also my boss at my last job. Full stop. Got really thin over the summer, then missed the first 4 weeks of school because of appendicitis and then infections. When I got back, some people thought I had leukemia and some thought I died. Didn't get any sympathy, just people being cruel and blaming me for the rumor, when I hadn't been in contact with anyone from school at all. Also sucks that people thought I died and yet nobody posted on my FB or called me to check or anything. When I was a teenager, I went to a girls' school. We had a father-daughter dance at a hotel downtown. While there, my best friend and I met 2 guys who were in town for an Angels and Airwaves concert and were staying at the hotel. We ended up sneaking off for a bit to their hotel room for a beer and a few puffs on a joint before heading back to the dance. Somehow this got twisted into a rumor that we had met and smoked crack with Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus of Blink 182 in their hotel room. Apparently, according to my former high school classmates, I'm a super right-wing conservative, ultra straight sort of person. But I was apparently also dating my best friend, who was the same gender. I mean, I did turn out to be a les. But I wasn't dating my best friend. Nor did I vote conservative. That I was sleeping with half the fraternity house my actual boyfriend lived in. In high school, a girl spread a rumor that I had caught an STD from her. This was because I turned down her advances at a homecoming dance. It seemed pretty counterproductive on her end. That I was dating my former pastor who was 35, I was 21 and engaged to a different man. Old church ladies need a life. Rumor 1. That my twin and I were actually quadruples. And even the quad squad from AFV. Rumor 2. Had demonstrated some Brazilian jiu-jitsu moves to my JROTC friends. Friend, you know how some guys say they can heal you with their bare hands? Some guy, yeah? Everyone says that. Friend, points at me. Well, that guy can actually do it. Rumor 3. Because I was a twin. I was the cool twin and my brother was the weird twin. So every time one of us did something weird, it was always pinned on my brother. My high school experience was pretty nice. But my brother hated it. In high school there was a rumor going around that my youngest sibling was actually the son I gave birth to the summer before freshman year. I was in band, you'll know I knew nothing about the mechanics involved in making a baby. Back when I was Mormon, I was a missionary. Got around that I'd get possessed at night and terrify other missionaries. I just talk in my sleep when stressed. But apparently I'm fluent in Portuguese cussing. I grew up on a farm. And my parents had lots of different animals. I once overheard on the bus that my family had so many dogs because we raise and eat them like our cattle. The rumor was that I had a huge coke habit. I've never touched the stuff, and wouldn't even know where to get it. My twin spread the rumor after a huge fight. As coke habit made me look worse than working 2 jobs and sending all the cash back home to the family when the question, hey, why is that guy always completely run down and tired, came up. I only found out because one of the usual crew passed along the news. I actually relocated. Because life's too short. I was sick for a week at school and when I came back people had thought I had gone on an overseas holiday because apparently some little wanker was telling everybody that he knew me and I said to him that I was gone on holidays. I shared an apartment with my cousin in Western NY. I went to school there but would work in NJ during the summer at the shore. After the second summer I decided to move to NJ permanently. My cousin decided that this would be a great opportunity to tell everyone we knew that I had joined the Marines. I got messages from friends and acquaintances for over a year thanking me for my service and telling me to stay safe, etc. It took him 6 months, intentionally, to let me in on the joke. If I didn't correct someone or respond to them out of pure confusion, he would tell them some story about how I was injured in the field of duty. My cousin forced stolen valor upon me. I died. I did get into a car accident shortly after graduating high school. Me and my GF were fine luckily. Now she's my wife actually. Then later I ran into some people from HS and they actually thought I had died in the car accident. Apparently many people from HS thought this. It was interesting. A girl in high school told everyone that I wore a colored contact lens for attention. No itch. I just have one green eye and one blue eye. It's really no big deal. Unless I point it out. Or you're close up to me, you just assume they're blue. That my husband and I were getting married so quickly, to be fair. We met and got married in under 12 months. And that's genuinely fast. We agree. But 4 years strong and happier than when we first met. Even. So, because I was 1, pregnant and 2, the child of religious extremist parents who were afraid that I was getting old, I was 24, and so forced me to bamboozle a foreign guy into marrying me so I wouldn't be a spinster. I was definitely not pregnant. I was not old. And my parents live their lives with faith in God. But are far from gimlet-eyed religious extremists. This rumor was started by a girl we barely know and is peripheral to our social circle. And even attended our wedding. What the actual heck? Catherine.